Good evening, gentlemen. I'll digress a little and come back to Ukraine. There's been news today that the Russians have mounted a big missile attack on Ukraine. Cruise missiles have hit Ukraine. So many cities, even Kiev has been hit. And though the Americans had given them the anti missile defenses, these didn't work 100%. And at least 30 to 40% of the missiles got through them, and they have brought in a lot of devastation. Now, from the Ukrainian point of view, I'm just wondering what exactly is Ukraine trying to achieve? There is no chance, as I've already stated, Ukraine will win the war. Absolutely, there's no chance. And Putin is escalating the conflict at every stage. Earlier, he was not using the missiles, then he started using them, the drones came in, and now he's using the hyper missiles, he's using the cruise missiles, and though the Ukrainians have been given some defenses, it's not possible. There is news that France is going to give some armored personal carriers and tanks to Ukraine. You see, you must remember that tanks and these things do not win a war. In 1965, Pakistan had been given the best of weapons by the Americans, including the patent tanks with the night vision devices, and yet the Pakis achieved nothing, zero, because they are not adept at using these weapons. So whatever weapons you're giving to Ukraine, I think is like putting your money in a abyss of no return. I do not know what the American generals are thinking. They are thinking that they will tire out Russia. That is the only way I can look at it. But what is happening is that Ukraine is getting destroyed more and more. And if that is the aim of Zelensky, that he needs to get his own country destroyed, then I must give him a lot of credit, 100 marks out of 100. Yes, he's achieving his aim of destroying Ukraine. If he was a nationalist, he would have looked for a way out. But he's in the pay of the Americans, the stooge, I would say, of the Americans, and this war is continuing. The West will have to recognize the security rights of Russia. I don't see by not recognizing how you're going to do it. And this is something not recent. It started in 92 when Bill Clinton turned down the Russian application for NATO and then started expanding NATO eastwards to all the countries of the Warsaw Pact to make Russia an enemy forever. So when you've been doing these things, that means you're sowing these seeds, you're going to reap the crops. This is what's happening. The Russians are creating devastation in Ukraine. I won't say they have won the war, but they are creating devastation. Their purpose is getting served. Ukraine is going back to the Stone Age. And America must also remember that whatever millions of dollars you're thinking you're going to give them 1 trillion, okay, fine. But there's a limit to everything. If you remember, the Hindu god of wealth was Kuber, and even his coffers were emptied at one stage. This flagrant spending of the American taxpayers' money for Ukraine is something which independent observers like me cannot comprehend. What are the American aims? What is the gain? What are they getting out of it? The bigger danger is China, and they have already thrown in the towel as far as I'm concerned with China. They gave all their rights up in the South China Sea, and the Americans haven't moved away anywhere else. Just maintaining troops in South Korea is an irrelevant thing. Japan, they're having a big base. The Japanese, a very small country, just about 100 million, they don't matter anywhere. And Japan also knows the limitations. It faced two nuclear bomb attacks in 1945 from their friends. The Americans were their friends, are their big friends now, but they were the ones who dropped the atomic bombs on China, on Japan. And they know what devastation can be brought about by these things. So Japan will be very wary of antagonizing the Chinese and getting into a nuclear conflict with them. So, as far as Ukraine is concerned, I think we have reached the end of the road. End of the road in the sense that there doesn't appear to be any future for Ukraine at the moment. Whether the war goes on and ends or finishes, whatever happens, it's not going to be something which is going to help Ukraine. Ukraine is getting devastated. There are 8 million refugees floating around Europe. The greenery of Europe is destroyed. They can't send a ship out with grain and out of the Black Sea, which is dominated by the Russians. Russia also is in a terrible position, I'll admit. Let's accept that fact. Vladimir Putin has miscalculated badly, but now he's trying to make amends, but something so too late. The horses are bolted already. He should have won the war in the first 1 month, which he didn't. Now 10 months, he's nowhere towards the end of the war. Gentlemen, Ukraine is the enigma of the world, and I sincerely hope that it doesn't become a world war. This is not an idle talk. You must remember that the last two world wars, the epicenter was Europe. I don't see that this third world war may also be the epicenter of Europe. All I can say is that if somebody wants peace, then you have to make concessions. You cannot expect the other side to say, give up, hands up. It's not going to happen like that, not with the Russians. They fought against Napoleon, they fought against Hitler, and they're going to give up. Putin has his faults, no doubt, and I think he's losing popularity, and maybe there could be a change of regime. That's all part of the game. But as things stand now, the Americans have also bungled like the Russians. And they must be now thinking, the American think tank, that what the hell, we never thought the war would continue for 10 months. Anyway, gentlemen, we'll have to wait and watch what happens. Ukraine is in the throes of a death struggle. And I sincerely hope Putin doesn't get so disgruntled that he launches a nuclear strike. That would be the end of Europe. I'd say Europe, because it's the European countries which are so small, Belgium, Holland, they'll just cease to exist on the world back, and that will be a tragedy of the greatest dimension of all time to come. I close now, gentlemen. I hope you like this video. Please share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel. Goodbye and God bless. Jai Hind. Glory to India. Thank you.